In today's video, we're going to cover the expenses module. To access the expenses module, we have to go to the left side menu and go to expenses. From here, we have two sections. We have expenses and we have suppliers. But before we add any of those information, we're going to go to the upper right side. You can see there's a wheel where we can click on it and we can create different groups and types. Now, the groups and types are just to identify the expenses that we are adding on the system. So, say for example, you have different groups such as utilities, such as salaries, where the type would go to, let's say for the utility, the type would be electricity, it would be water. So all we need to do is just add a new group. It opens up a section for us. We write utility, we save it, and then we go to types. We add a new type, and of course here we can say electricity, and then we select the group that is assigned to it. In this scenario, it would be utilities, and we save as well. So we have different groups and types that we created, and after we have those done, we go back to our expenses. And of course, we always create our suppliers first because we need to create expenses that link to those suppliers. So first of all, we click on suppliers and we click add. And this will give us two different options. We have internal suppliers, and those are your staff members. We have external suppliers, which is everything you're paying outside of the business. In this scenario, we are doing an external supplier. So we're going to click on it. And this is where you can put the information about that supplier. So of course, we're talking about the company name. So say, for example, in this scenario, it's going to be, let's call it electricity. We can input an email for them, a phone number, a registration number, and of course, if we have a certain contact from that thing that we're paying, we can always put contact name and number here. However, it can just be as simple as a name. So you can always input a name, click next, and confirm it. And you will have an electricity supplier available here. So now, whenever you want to add expenses, you want to pay your electricity, you can just come to your expenses, click on add, select your supplier. So we have this one, which is electricity that we just created. We can input a reference number, which can be the invoice number of the invoice that you need to pay, the date of payment. So if you need to pay it today, you can, but you can always put an invoice for next month. You can put it in the future. Maybe it's a previous payment that you paid, forgot to put. You can put it in the past. Feel free to put the date of the day of your choosing. Let's put it today. We can input notes, which is optional, and we pick the type. So the type is the electricity that we created. We input the amount, say it's 100. If there's any tax, we can input that here. It will add, of course, to the total. And the description. Then we pick our payment method. How are we paying out this payment? If it's an expense that we're paying today, then of course we are picking one of the payment methods that we have. If it's a payment that we want to pay in the future, we can put it on account so that way we can pay it later. Putting it as a current payment is as simple as just choosing the payment method and clicking save. And that's done. Of course, it will be reduced in your cash report. However, let's do this example on account. So that way it's a future payment. We did not pay it yet, but we will pay it later. So I chose on account, I clicked save, and you notice this expense was just created with this supplier. This is the reference number for it. We have the amount. You can see that the paid amount is still zero. However, there's a balance in red, which is 100. So whenever I need to pay this, I can just click on it, choose how I want to pay it. Say I want to pay it USD. It's 100. And then I can just confirm. And this will be moved from balance to paid. Of course, if I go to my cash report now just to see if this transaction took place, I go down and this is the payment that was done now, which is a payment. It's a PMT. It was done by the user. So this is the user of the account. You can see here where it says supplier, this is the supplier chart. So It won't rank for the client, but it will add for the supplier instead. The date that it was made, it's a supplier payment added, and of course you have the amount, which is minus 100.